I'm Jack Rogers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Marvel colored shag rug cake. This cake is meant to look like a furry shag rug and is sure to amaze all your friends, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to bake 5 pounds of vanilla cake. And what I did is I dyed half of it red and half of it green. I dyed the green a little too dark, and after I placed them in the pan, it turned out that they were Christmas colors. And there was nothing I can do about it. Once it's in the pan, it ain't coming out. So that was done. I just let them bake. Once the cakes were fully baked and completely cool, I removed them from their cake pans and started to level them. When I bake my cakes, there's a heating rod in the center. My oven's just different and it cooks at a very high temperature, and I find that when I place the heating rod in the center, that the cake bakes more evenly because it provides a second heating source. Once I cut the top off, I then cut the caramelization off the bottom and off the side so you can see the nice color. And plus, no one really wants to eat caramelization because it's this close to burnt part. After that, I wrapped those in cling wrap and placed them in the fridge. While they were in the fridge, I prepared my buttercream. I made 2.5 recipes of my Swiss meringue buttercream, and the recipe is not yet up for that, but if you want it, you can click the links in the description box down below, because I will put everything that you need down there, including a full description with all the materials, instructions, and ingredients that you need to make this cake. After I prepared my buttercream, I took the cakes back out, took the cling wrap off, and started to layer them. When you layer cake, you want to place it on a cake board. The first thing I did was I put a bit of buttercream on my 8-inch cake board, and I began to layer the cake. After I placed the bit of buttercream on the cake board, I placed my first cake layer down. I know it looks a lot like Christmas, but I can't do anything about it. I then placed a dollop of buttercream on the top of the cake layer and used my little offset spatula to spread it out. After I spread that out, I placed the next cake layer, spread it out, next cake layer, spread it out, and then until it was completely stacked. When you layer a cake, you really need a turntable because they are essential. They make it so much easier. All you have to do is spin it. I normally use a different turntable, but the one I was using, I realized I assembled my giant fruit cake, and if you want to see that, the link's in the description box below. I don't have a YouTube video for it, but that cake is definitely one of my favorites, so you should definitely check it out. But I basically assembled the cake on that turntable, and it's a 3-tier cake, so it was so heavy and I couldn't get it off. That's the reason why I'm using this one, but if you want the turntable I'm using, links in the description box below as well. And I gave it a crumb coat. A crumb coat is essential in cake decorating because when you are decorating a cake, if you have crumbs in your final coating, it's pretty frowned upon. So what a crumb coat does is it locks all the crumbs to the cake so that when you come back to ice it one more time, there are no crumbs in your final coating. All you have to do is place a dollop of buttercream on top of the cake and start spreading a thin layer around the cake. It's okay if cake is showing through. That is pretty much what you want. You just want a thin, nice coating that will trap all the crumbs to the cake. I smoothed that out with a cake scraper and then placed it in the fridge. And while it was chilling, I prepared all my different colors of buttercream. So I used 5 different colors of buttercream: neon green, red, blue, silver, and black. Those are just the colors I want because they were big, bold colors, and I knew they would all pop once they were together. The way you want to do this is you want to separate them in dollops of buttercream, just so you have more of one color and then less of all the others, and then it keeps going down less, and less. The most I did was red, then blue, then neon green, then silver, and then black. But I realized that when I was doing this, some of them, which had more than the others, filled the piping bag completely. So it was really the same amount as the other ones because they were filled completely. So if you really want to stick to the amount of colors you want to put, then make sure you put less in each piping bag. I didn't realize, and that is why if you look at the cake, it looks pretty even throughout. To dye the buttercream, I used gel food coloring, and to get that neon green, I had a lot of trouble, as you can see, with the batter mishap. I used more yellow and then added a bit of blue instead of just adding a leaf green food coloring. That seemed to work a lot better, and if you wanted more neon, you can just add more yellow, and if you wanted a darker shade, then add more blue. Once I prepared all my buttercreams, I placed them all in piping bags with 5 grass tips. You see, the problem with this is when I made this cake, it was Easter, and I didn't realize that I only had one grass piping tip, and I didn't really think that I was gonna need more than one, which is really stupid, but I'm telling you now just so you don't make this mistake. Luckily enough though, one of the cake stores I go to was open, and I bought 4 other grass piping tips. So make sure you buy those. You can always go on Amazon. There's always a cheap one on Amazon that you can find. Make sure you have the amount of grass tips for that, because it would be a pain to pipe it, wash it, place it in a different piping bag, place more buttercream, pipe it, and then take more. Because this piping portion already took 30 to 45 minutes alone with all different piping tips. After they were all placed in their piping bags, I brought the cake back out. You don't need to final coat this cake, but in this cake, the crumb coat makes sure that when you're piping the buttercream, that there are no crumbs that are going to adhere to the buttercream when you're piping it. After this, I just piped away. I grabbed my buttercream and then I tried to make different shapes just so it was more visually pleasing, and that when you looked at the cake, it wasn't just like straight lines of red, straight lines of blue, so that it was just different colors throughout. And what you want to do for this cake color-wise is you want to have a few darker colors along with your bright, bold colors, just to even it out and make those bright colors pop more. This takes a long time, like I said, 30 to 45 minutes. Some people would say it's therapeutic. I thought it was pretty annoying, but it was definitely worth it. As you can see, this cake turned out so cool. What you want to do when you're piping this is you want to squeeze the buttercream out of the bag and then let go and then pull, so then it drapes. It sounds really confusing, but if you look at the video of me doing this, it really is not that hard. This cake is great because anyone can make it. It's pretty much a beginner cake, and I really wish that I knew about this cake when I was just starting, because I was trying to make these intense, super cool cakes, and they really did not work at first. But I eventually got to making cool cakes like this, and if you want to see them, links down below. And other than that, I just really liked how this cake turned out. And when you get to the top, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna do the same thing. It looks a little different because it's not sticking up or draping down the side like the other one, but it still looks really cool. If you don't wanna do it on the top, you could spread buttercream on the top and do a different sort of piping with a different piping tip. This cake is really customizable. You can do your own colors, your own piping tip. You might even wanna try this with a different piping tip. So after I finally finished piping, I got so many hand cramps. My hand was ready to fall off, but it was 100% worth it. I really like how this cake turned out. And this is inspired by Alana Jonesman, I think that's her name. I'll put her stuff in the links down below. Her stuff is so cool. She makes a bunch of cakes like this, and they're just so cool. You should really check them out. This cake was super fun to make. You should definitely try it if you want to start baking or you just want to bake for fun. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I really enjoyed making this Marvel Shag Rug Cake. It's so customizable, so easy, and a great cake to start with if you want to become a better baker. Make sure to follow me. I put all the links down below. Everything on my social media is Jacked Up Cakes. Don't forget to visit my website to see the full description on this cake if you want to know all the materials, instructions, and ingredients to make this cake. Also, last but not least, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Turn post notifications on. Thank you so much for watching.